No one. This is what they're gonna get.
Bonus episode. World Cup preview. Here we go.
This is awesome. Yeah, I was supposed to meet Emma like 20 minutes from us, but she's caught at work. So this is we're playing with major house money right now. All right, I need to pull up.
Yeah, I'm thinking we go, let's, a little group by group. Then
So yeah, you're gonna have because I'm not gonna have I don't have a read on every one of these teams.
okay. I'll pull up the odds. So starting with Group A real quick. We got Netherlands, Senegal, Ecuador, Qatar. Anything appeal to you there?
So all right. I'm gonna talk these teams out with you, and I'm gonna give you like explanations from the soccer end, and then together we're gonna be able to formulate a way, um, a team, an NCAA team, right? So to preface the listeners, I guess we're kind of time traveling here, but in the end of part two, I started thinking about a way to kind of make the World Cup a little bit more interesting, and it's by comparing the teams that we have in the World Cup to NCAA teams because it really does make a lot of sense. It's there are those blue bloods, your Brazils, your France, your Germanys, your Englands, right, where they're always there, but they all have kind of a bit of a different spin, much like college teams. So I think it's going to be kind of interesting to see how it all plays
Yeah,
out.
it makes it easier for sure. Like I'm in Uruguay now. How you
Yeah,
describe them? I
but
like.
again, though, there is a lot of volatility with a lot of these teams. So it's like, especially this year being in Qatar, it's like no one knows a thing about these guys. So they are. I can't. I'm not basically if I don't have enough of a reading team, I'm not even going to try to compare it because it's just going to be completely useless. So
Mhm.
I'll go through the teams that I feel I have a very good read on, or at least I feel pretty confident with because they've either been there a lot, been in the World Cup a lot, or I know them through various different outlets. So starting Group A, Netherlands is an interesting one. I talked about them before. So they're kind of so you probably remember them from like 2010 with
Yeah, they were
Arjen
stacked.
Robben, Van Persie, um, who else is on that team? Wesley Schneider, like big names. They then didn't qualify in I think the 2018 World Cup. So that was kind of their golden generation, 2010. And while by no means are they in a golden generation now, there is a bit of some new guys are popping up here and there. So they have a good midfielder, Frankie De Jong, plays for Barcelona. I already mentioned Virgil van Dijk, big defender. He's really good. And they just kind of have a bunch of like solid attackers and midfielders who are going to kind of, they'll be pieced together to form some sort of team. So they're an interesting one. So again, to put into NCAA terms, they're a team that used to be legit, kind of fell off the face of the earth a little bit, but now they're sort of starting to make a comeback again, and that's through playing a more unique system. So I'm
I
gonna
got a comp. You
all right,
got. Let's see.
go.
You got one too. You go
All
first.
right. So I'm gonna go with West Virginia.
Wow.
They're uh, give me yours. Give me yours.
Lonzo Ball, UCLA.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that all right. That's better. I like that. I think I like that one better. So I would say press Virginia because the Netherlands have an identity every single year. They play. It's not the same identity, so maybe that's where the press Virginia comp goes out the window. But they usually have a very polarizing way of playing. So this year they're going to play with a three at the back system, which is Louis Van Gaal's thing, and then two wing backs. So a lot of their offense comes through these wing backs. But what that allows them to do is you can just kind of commit a ton of numbers like on the defensive. So when the other team has the ball, you can just kind of send dudes willy nilly on defense to kind of try to get in there and intercept it. So it's interesting. And their coach, well, again, he hasn't been there forever, like Bob Huggins. He's a guy that's been around the sport for a long, long time, and he's never changed his style of play. So his way or the highway. But I do like the Lonzo Ball
Okay.
company because that's a team. Yeah, UCLA was at the peak of their power many, many years ago, right? But now a bit of a resurfacing and led by one guy. So only thing that'll be tough about this is Lonzo Ball was a great playmaker. Netherlands don't necessarily have
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
a
play
defender,
style probably
but
wasn't.
play,
And they are. Looks like they're like 10th or 8th. They're 12-1 right now. Looks like so. Not too bad odds
what are
for
they?
to win the whole World Cup.
Yeah, was it
Netherlands.
12-1?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, 12-1.
Yeah, I think that's some of the best value you're going to get this year. Them and Uruguay are my favorite value.
Yeah, seventh 7th highest odds.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
So quickly on
Senegal, Ecuador, Qatar, probably not
yeah,
many takes.
quickly on Senegal though. Senegal is
Oh,
interesting. So they have Sadio
here we
Mane.
go.
Do you know Sadio Mane by any chance?
No,
All right. So Sadio Mane, formerly of Liverpool FC, one of the best attackers in the world. Unfortunately, though, he's hurt. So he's going to be a doubt for the first game, potentially going to be playing later on the group stage. But Senegal is an interesting one. So yeah, you'll like Senegal. So Senegal has some names where if you were to look at a FIFA roster, you'd be like, whoa, wait, they should be better than they are. They have a few, as I'll say, 86s and above. Their goalie's really good. Really good center back. They actually both goalie and center back play for Chelsea. So like they're like legit names. And they actually won the African Cup of Nations. So they are the team that has a few really good guys, a few like stars, and again, difficult for NBA or for college. So we'll just say one star in Mane. And the reason they're there is because they won, and again, this isn't how it works in the World Cup, but we'll just say for the sake of comparison, is because they won their conference tournament and now they're there.
I like
So
this. I like
they're
this.
playing against. They might not be playing against the best of opponents. They played in Africa and they won the African Cup of Nations. So again, that's not an auto berth to the World Cup. At least I don't think. But regardless, so they're an interesting one. So you got to think of a team that maybe isn't in the best conference, and usually, here's how I'll put it, because again, there's a lot of different African teams in the World Cup. But for the sake of this comparison, let's try to think of a team or a conference rather that breeds a lot of different. They churn out different conference winners each year. So it's like think of almost like the Ivy Leagues. Better than the
That's
Ivy
what I was thinking.
like
Yeah.
conference where it's never just like oh, they won this year. So maybe like oh gosh.
Well, I'm thinking, would like this Africa be like a mid major? Is it like are we looking at like the Ja Morant team?
Yeah, you know what? No, yeah, 100%. So it would definitely be a mid-major because it's a continent that doesn't get a lot of respect in the World Cup. No African team has ever made it past the quarterfinals, I don't believe.
Wow. Jeez.
If Mane was healthy throughout the entire tournament, I think that they're the African team with the best chance of doing that. But the last African team that made it that far, and again, I'm not sure if I know this exactly, but the last one I remember, Ghana. Ghana was the one who made it.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
2010, they lost to Uruguay in one of the craziest World Cup games of all time. Luis Suarez handball off the line.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. That got me pissed off. Just to see
Yeah.
it.
So I've actually been rewatching that game just for the hell of it because that's like 2010 World Cup, my all-time favorite tournament. I just loved it. It was shit. Well, not true.
Vuvuzelas.
Yeah, a lot of people hated the ambiance. I just loved it. Again, growing up, that was like my first real experience with soccer. Like when I was like absolutely obsessed. So that was that. But yeah, Senegal, good. Like a Ja Morant led Murray State. That feels good. I was also thinking like a Big 12 Oklahoma State led by Cade Cunningham. It's like
oh, nice. Okay.
big name, not the biggest program, but play in maybe not the best conference. So yeah, that's the other one. All right, Group B.
One more take. Qatar,
Yeah,
Florida Gulf Coast.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. just you just go for it.
Group B. This is the group of death. England always seems to find the US. I don't know if that's marketing or whatever. England, Wales, US, Iran.
All right. So I'm trying to think here. Let's start with the US. The US is probably the easiest one to comp because they are the team. It's just pure athleticism and nothing really else. Pulisic is the guy, right? But even Pulisic has been struggling domestically in England. He hasn't been the best this season. So they're the team that what they would like to pride themselves on is being more in shape than most teams. And that's about it. They don't have, when you look at the US roster, you can't look at that group of players and say, this is their best lineup. They need to do this. And again, you can't do that for a lot of teams. When you look at them, you can't point a finger. This is their striker. This is their, what I mean? Like you can't go line by line in that offense and that team. So we need a super athletic, raw team with one good player and with a lot of emerging players, but they're still probably just too many stars away. So I'm trying to think athletic, but maybe not,
Yeah,
talent.
this is tough because US is pretty bad, right? What are they, like the 18th best team in the world, 20th best
Yeah,
team?
which honestly might even be doing them a favor.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I don't know. Like Texas Tech, does that apply? Like, did they play weird? I guess we'll save that for a team that plays weird.
yeah,
Um,
Texas
could
Tech
they
is
be in
interesting.
the
But Texas
mix?
Tech was
Mm.
they were a
Yeah,
little
they
more
might be more
talented.
talented.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
more talented. Like, look at their seed. We have to, again, honestly, what we should be doing is pulling up like a bracket from last year. That'd probably
That's
make
what
more.
I'm doing right now. I pulled up the bracket. I'm looking there, but
Give me some like 8, 9 games because that feels like where the U.S. should be. It's like kind of middle of the pack, like maybe a little bit disrespected.
um, you got San Diego State, TCU. I like Memphis, maybe Memphis.
Memphis, okay, Memphis is pretty good. I
Virginia
like.
Tech. Uh,
I think Memphis might be our best pick.
yeah, that's what
Like
stuck in my
that.
head first. Ohio State.
You know what it
Um,
is? I guess so because Memphis had a lot of names, right? But then they all left. The U.S. never had a lot of names, so that might be tough. Let me look here at this bracket. This is fun.
yeah, this is I want. Who's the Syracuse this year? I think you gotta
Ooh,
think that.
all right, all right. Now, damn, you just threw a wrench in my plans here. Now I gotta go fun. Now I gotta go with groups of fun in Syracuse. Um, if Germany weren't such high odds, it would be Germany because Germany has
Oh,
this
okay.
every single year and they follow it and it usually always works. But Germany actually can, get across the finish line. Um, let me think of a
Seton
series.
Hall. Yeah, I don't know.
Honestly, maybe the U.S. is Seton Hall. Maybe they should be a little bit better. Yeah, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's go with the hometown pick. Yeah,
Miles Powell, Kristen Pulisic. There you
yeah. You know what? Perfect, perfect. Seton Hall. They have a lot of decent guys, but they just don't have enough. That's perfect. A lot of solid guys. You look at them, and you be like, oh, you know what? They could do something, but then they never, ever, ever put it together. Perfect. Dude,
England. Let's see.
you've thrown me for a loop here with this Syracuse one. I almost don't even know if a Syracuse exists in.
Yeah, right.
All right, you know who would be Syracuse, and they're not in it. Is Chile.
Oh,
So
did they play weird or something?
they play not necessarily weird, but for the longest time, it was the exact same thing. Like they won back, so they did this thing. It was like the South American version of the Euro. Of course, in Copa America. No, not Copa America. Is it Copa America? Maybe it's Copa America. But regardless, they won it in 2012, I think it was. And then for some reason, they just decided to host another one. It's usually every 4 years. They just decided to host another one the year after. And they won it again. They went back to back because it's like they just play their way. And that was that. So they had this really long stretch of consistency. Nothing was changed. It was same players, same approach, same just very defensive style. So yeah, I think they would be the Syracuse. But again, they're not in the World Cup.
Unfortunate. They would have picked that.
You would have picked
Uh,
dude. Chile is always the pick. I'm telling you, that's why. Maybe not play style, but you look at a tournament and you see Chile in it, you know they're going to make some sort of weird run. Like that's just their thing. So that's
um, England. Any strong takes? I guess
England
they're
is
kind of a basic solid team, or
England is a team that so they were, and again, this isn't the World Cup, but their last tournament they played was the Euro 2021, 2020 technically, but 2021. So Euro's an interesting one, or England's an interesting one because they were in the final last year and they lost on penalties. So we need a team. You know what? Not that we have a very large fan base, but you know who England is to me? England is Duke.
okay.
England is
Yeah.
Duke because they always have a good team, no matter what. Their team will always be good, and they always have stars. And they have stars because of the program. If you put some of those English players in other teams, they don't get the respect, or they don't get as much respect because the English hype their players up.
Oh, okay. I like
And it's a
that. I
thing
like
that you
this.
can see it. Like, you can see it in like all of soccer. There's basically it's called the English tax. So basically, when a player is being signed and they're English and they're going like let's say they're going to the Premier League, they get signed for more. One because I think that Premier League teams have an English quota that they need to meet, so they need to have an X amount of English players. But also they just get all the hype in the world because Premier League is the best league in the world. So as a result, you just think that oh well it's majority English, so those players are the best. When you think of college basketball, Duke has a very similar disposition, right? It's like, oh, Duke, we're the best,
Mm.
So that's sort of my take.
ACC. Yeah.
And yeah,
But
big conference, big name, um, And the only difference is that, Duke has actually had success in the past few
Yeah.
years. But it's also different because, NCAA is every year. England or World Cup is every 4 years. So the last England World Cup was 1966. Last Duke NCAA win was what, 2014?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's been
I
8 years.
feel like Wales is a fun one, right?
So Wales is
Wales.
interesting as well because Wales hasn't been in the tournament. It's been in the World Cup since like 1966.
Yeah.
So they're
I
like,
gotta go to like the 2003 bracket.
yeah, you gotta find me a team that is like, so they have Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale is interesting. He's nowhere near the Gareth Bale he once was, but he actually scored a game-tying goal in the MLS Cup to force it to penalties where his team went on to win. So
Oh my God.
he's still got a bit of an X factor, and he definitely plays up for Wales. When it's Wales season, he really like he goes all in. So
I just gotta find him. Who is that? Like, who is the original like Cinderella? Like in 2002 or whatever. Who was that? I gotta find this.
yeah, I'm trying to think.
Although I guess you would say, I don't know, maybe not, because I guess you would say Wales is from a big conference, right? They're from Europe. Maybe
Yeah,
they're more.
yeah.
I don't know. It's
So it's
tough.
like maybe UConn when they were in the Big East.
I like that. I like
Like,
that. I like that.
you know
I'm
what?
in on that.
Let's go with that. This is really
Gareth Bale's Kemba. Let's go.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean,
There
when you
we go.
think about it, the comp isn't very good, but I mean, I'm here to please you. I want you to find your way to make these synergies in your head. So we'll roll with that one.
I'm in on that. Group C. Okay, we got Argentina, Poland, Mexico, Saudi Arabia.
All right, so I think that the ones we're going to look at here is probably just Argentina because again, I want to get through most of these as best as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
We had a lot of fun on Groups A and B, and it's only going to get more fun because we haven't even the teams that have sparked this discussion are the ones that I haven't even gotten to yet. Like your
Yeah,
Europe,
exactly.
Portugal's a good one that I have a lot of takes on. But so Argentina is the team that has arguably the greatest player of all time. Not my take, but many would consider that. But in the past has never had a good enough team around him. So they made the final in 2014. They lost to Germany. And many at that point would have considered that like an overachievement for them back then. Now, though, they're probably the third favorite, I think. And I don't totally buy into that. So we'll see on that. But again, South American, their team plays with a ton of passion. It is a team that definitely wants to win for Messi. Like they understand the implications. Win for Messi, he's considered the greatest of all time. Like there's just there's no denying that. It's just a team though that
wow, that's high stakes. Jesus Christ,
it's insane. It is insane. Like it's really.
I'm getting like 2016 Cavalier vibes from this. I don't even know.
Yeah, no. So it's like there's no bigger storyline this World Cup than obviously.
Can Brazil play like Argentina in the finals? I guess that would be.
No, but Portugal can play Argentina in the final,
Okay.
which is what everyone wants. Ronaldo versus Messi. They talk about a swan song for those two, but So Brazil actually lost to Argentina in the Copa America final 2 years ago, I believe. So Argentina definitely has they definitely have the ability to win it. I just personally think that their track record in the past has kind of seen them lose out to some of those bigger teams. They could just never. They lost to Germany. They lost to France last World Cup. So they don't really ever have that final ability to put it all together when it really counts. So we need a team that. Oh, I got it. No,
I have one in my head.
I was gonna say Gonzaga, but Gonzaga never has a star.
I think I got a good one.
Let's hear it.
Senior year, Frank Kaminsky.
Oh yes, perfect. Yeah, that is perfect. So once Kaminsky goes, that team is they kind of just resort back to being decent, and that'll happen. I think with Messi, they're gonna still have their guys. There'll still always be a name, but yeah, that's perfect. I like that.
I like that. Okay. I don't know much about. I guess Mexico. I don't know much about Poland or Saudi Arabia.
So. Yeah, no, I don't know enough about either of these teams to where I could really give you an answer. Mexico is the US's biggest rival, obviously. They also play those US and Mexico games get super, super chippy. Their style of play, though, I don't really have much really I know enough of their roster, but I just know that they've never really performed that great in the World Cup. their most
Mhm.
notable World Cup memory, at least for May 2014. They lost to the Netherlands because Robin flopped. You maybe heard the term "Noeta penal," like it wasn't a penalty. So I don't know. They're always there. They're always kind of around, but in NCAA terms,
Maybe like Purdue or Florida State,
yeah, maybe a yeah. Florida State's pretty good because Mexico's got some talent, but they can never like totally put it together. So yeah, that's good to get for Mexico to get out of this group. I think would be I don't know if it would be expected because Poland's decent,
Yeah,
but
it's got them tied right now, them and
them to
Poland.
win a game in the knockout stage would be like a major victory for them.
Okay, okay. Yeah, it's maybe like Cincinnati or something. Next up, Group D: France, Denmark, Tunisia, Australia. Denmark's
Hmm.
getting a lot of hype, so I want to comp on them, but I don't know if you saw the hype. Maybe it's just me.
No, so yeah, Denmark is a team that gets a lot of hype because they're very steady. So think like Villanova light almost.
Okay, okay.
It's I want to say Virginia, but Virginia
I
won
was, yeah, that's what,
or won though, and they've never really come close
yeah.
to it. So
Like
big
a
story
down
about
year Villanova, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, like down near Villanova, but they don't have the pedigree. Like if we're talking pedigree, I think it's easier to talk about the pedigree.
Creighton, maybe.
What was it? Would you say?
Creighton.
Creighton's not bad. Creighton's not bad. Yeah, I mean, like it's a team where it's very stable and it's solid, and they have a few names, Christian Eriksen, but it's a team that could definitely turn some heads. So it's like they're stable, but because of just how many solid, decent players that have played together for a while, so you need a team that is all seniors, right? And that maybe this is their last window to win, and they've kind of come short, but this could be, if there's ever a year to win, it's now. Tough.
Yeah, I'm looking through all the brackets. I'm trying to find one.
Yeah, I gotta get a bracket up because this is too difficult to do without a.
Yeah, this is a hmm.
It's just
Yeah,
sort
I
of
don't know. The thing that's tough about college teams is that it's hard to find. I guess maybe that makes it easier though, because you have some teams where people stay all 4 years, some teams that's just like stars for one
yeah,
year.
like some programs, it's
So
like
it
a
makes it the
4 year
yeah.
program.
They
It's
do
like
have identities, yeah.
um, gosh, Wisconsin wouldn't be bad here again.
A lot of Wisconsin's.
Damn, maybe we have to put a pin in these guys.
Oregon? I don't know.
Oregon's not bad. Oregon
They were a
isn't bad.
one seed once. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Oregon's not bad. I mean, Denmark had its time. I don't know where like what their best ever finish was in the World Cup. Let me look that up. Let me see their best finish. Uh,
Indiana.
yeah, honestly, Indiana isn't horrible.
I'm at like 2012, 2011 now.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
their best finish looks like the quarterfinals in '98, and that's when they had a few pretty decent guys. I think they had a pair of brothers, the Loudrups. I'm just guessing that was their year. Peter Schmeichel, that was definitely his year. So yeah, I mean, a team that is
Butler. Yeah, old Butler.
yeah, honestly, maybe that's so yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. Um, yeah, it's tough. They're tough. So maybe we can, if a team hits me, we can come back to it.
Yeah.
Team I want to talk about though, because I think they're the most fun to comp to colleges.
Really? Really? Okay. Let's see.
So,
I have one in my head, but we'll see how you
so
explain it.
France is the team that won the year prior. I think I already have my team, but I'll explain it for the listener. So France is the team that every year they are a top dog. They're a blue blood. They're always going to be expected to win it. I think that anything less than a semifinals berth is probably considered a failure for them. But they have a ton of personalities and none bigger right now than Kylian Mbappe. So Mbappe. Won in 2018, probably the most beloved player in the world, young, all the talent at the time, he could do basically, he could do no wrong. Now though, turns down Real Madrid to go to PSG for a ridiculous contract. Apparently, he's been tough to play with, a lot of, rumblings in the locker room. So that isn't necessarily the kind of baggage you want to go into a season, So he's like my age, he's our age, he's like 23 years old. He's already won a
Wow.
World Cup though.
Wow.
He won a World Cup like 19. Like that's unbelievable. And he was by far their best player of that tournament. So like pretty unbelievable. to see what he's already accomplished. But they have a lot of names elsewhere. No Pogba, he's hurt, but I mean, Benzema, Griezmann,
Mhm.
Varane, Lloris. Like these are names that have been there for a while. So
Yeah, I like that. I remember their outside backs are really good last time.
yeah, so I'm gonna let you go for
Pavard, I guess Pavard.
Pavard. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna make the squad this year. But he's
Wow, jeez.
for that sick
Yeah,
goal.
so for me it's tough because I think there's an easy answer, but when you throw into the fact that they're defending, it makes it hard. But I see Zion Williamson Duke. I
Hmm,
don't know how
yeah,
off base that
no,
is.
so yeah, it's funny because that's the first thing that came to my head. But I was like, I already use him for England, but
Different Duke team though. You
different
got
too.
different types
Yeah,
of Duke
so
teams. Yeah.
so that's a great example because it's
Seems like low hanging fruit.
yeah, it's a great example because it's clearly the only reason I would okay, it's Zion Duke given their outcome, given what happened to them.
Yes, yeah,
I
that's what
think
I'm
they
pitching.
fell short, and I think this France team will probably end up falling short.
Yeah,
Um,
like February to March.
yeah, exactly, exactly, because you look at that roster and it's oh my god, World Cup or but or get my sports mixed up. It's tournament or the title or bust, right? And then what they lost to Michigan State. Michigan State that could be Denmark. I think
Yeah, I'm looking at yeah.
Michigan State is Denmark. Although Michigan State may be a little bit too good. But just I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna say Michigan State because there's definitely some more Michigan States out there. But yeah, so I think that's the perfect example. It's a team that has all talent in the world, but also has a ton of baggage, a ton of personalities, and I think because of that, we'll probably end up falling short.
Okay. Is that what team did you have in mind? You had a different one?
I had a Kentucky team. I had the
Yeah.
undefeated Kentucky team.
Yeah, okay. That was my second choice. So we're on base.
All the names, all the talent in the world, but only thing about that Kentucky team, I feel like there was less talk,
I think there was like drama with that Duke team too. Like I think
Yeah.
everyone knew that like
It was
RJ was taking way too many shots. Like
yeah,
I think there
yeah,
was actual
exactly. That
drama
Kentucky
with that.
team just kind of worked and they just so happened to stumble
Yeah.
across a
But that Duke team was like, Cam Reddish sucks. RJ needs to stop
yeah.
shooting.
Yeah,
So I think there was
there's a
more
lot
drama.
going on. So I could see that being an issue. Yeah. I think those are the two easiest ones to me. All right.
Uh
Australia, Tunisia, I have zero. Like
yeah.
literally zero.
Group B, Spain, Germany, Japan, Costa Rica.
All right. This one's pretty fun. So Spain has
Yeah,
two.
Spain, I want to say they're like third in the odds right now. Or
So
fourth.
to me, I think Spain is one of the more overrated teams right now.
Okay.
Um, they have these two young midfielders, both play for Barcelona, Pedri and Gavi, and sure, they're talented, but these guys get overhyped. Like again, so I think that it's sort of like I'll speak, take this maybe with a grain of salt. I might be speaking out of turn here, but it's almost like when you look at a coach from a coaching tree, and you automatically just assume they're going to be good. So yeah, these guys are very good, and I don't mean like disrespect, more so Pedri, because Pedri's better than this Gavi guy, because Gavi's younger. But it's if you come from, so they're Spanish and they're both now from Barcelona. If you play for Barcelona, you're young and you're Spanish, you're just automatically going to be pegged as the next, Iniesta, Xavi. I know you know those names. It's kind of like, you come from the McVay tree. You just because you come from this tree and you have like a good season as, OCDC, whatever, you're just automatically pegged as like, the next coming of blank. And that's, as we've seen, it doesn't always work out that way. I think these guys are going to be good. They're going to be fine. But every guy who comes out of Spain nowadays, and Barcelona especially, is just pegged as the next Xavi or Iniesta. And maybe these guys will be. Personally, I don't see it. I think they're too young. And their team in general it's a little deficient in certain areas. So let me look up their roster right now. But it's a young team. So we have to think about a March Madness there, a college team that is young, and if they were if for whatever reason it all clicked, maybe they could just take advantage. But they're young in some areas, but they're also kind of old in some areas too. So it's like their midfield, their midfield core is young. Pedri, Gavi. I guess that's really the only two younger players. Yeah, the more I look at it, maybe they're not as young as you'd think, but they're such an interesting one. Yeah, no, they are pretty young. So they have a lot of younger players who, again, had all the hype in the world, and years later, it's like, oh, you know what? They never actually amounted to much. So very, very difficult one.
I think this is going to be off base, but I think one of the weirder NCAA teams in terms of roster construction is always North Carolina in terms of like young players who are pretty
Oh
shitty,
no,
old
that's
players who are pretty good.
the age variation. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's all right. So if we look at some ages here,
So all
so
the North Carolina players suck in the pros, basically.
yeah, no, 100%. That's a great one based on like age and like kind of what happens next. So ready? I'm gonna go through some ages and some names you'll know. Jordi Alba, remember him?
Oh yeah.
He's 33 years old. He's still playing.
Wow. Jeez.
But then you look at someone, Pedri, who's the guy I just talked about, 19 years old. Um, it's such an interesting mix. Ansu Fati, definitely never heard of him. He's solid, 19 years old. Morata, you ever heard of him? I think he's been around
Mm.
for a little while, 29 years old. So it's kind of this interesting balance of like super new up and comers and guys who've just kind of been there for a little while. There's no guys that have trying to think of a comp. Like there's no solid like sophomore maybe who had a run
Yeah,
last
that makes
and came
sense. Yeah.
back and now it's like, all right, this is my year. It's a lot of guys, it's either first tournament or last tournament. Nowhere really in between. And yeah, there are some guys who've been around for a little while, but no one who really moves the needle. So
Yeah, it sounds like there's some who's that guy, like Luke May or whatever.
yeah, Luke May.
Sounds like there's
Yeah.
some Luke Mays on
Yeah,
the team.
that's a great one. That's a great one. Shows shows up to class the day after the tournament win or whatever. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's a great one too, though, because UNC has all the pedigree in the world, much like Spain do. All right, Germany, very interesting one. So again, as I mentioned, I'll look up their squad as I do this right now, but I think they just have a very interesting squad because they have a lot of talent and a lot of positions, but not as much as they used to in the years past. So in years past, they had those big names, Thomas Muller, Mario Gomez, Mario Götze, Marco Reus, like, guys that I'm sure you know. Now it's an interesting mix of a lot of up and comers. They have this one guy, gonna butcher his name, Yusufa Mukoku. He's 19 years old, but he's just a beast. He plays for Borussia Dortmund. Like he's just like he's an animal. So he's really young. He's probably gonna start over guy who plays for Chelsea, Kai Havertz, who's kind of overhyped in my opinion. But their defense is a little bit older now, but they do still have some like solid names. So to me, they're a solid team with to me, they might be Gonzaga. I'm thinking about it. I think they might just be Gonzaga. Although, if Gonzaga were to ever win, they'd be Gonzaga.
Wow. Germany, you're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow,
So,
okay. Yeah.
so okay,
I guess because they're not really, no major stars.
yeah. So there's you look at this roster, and I think that if you ask 10 people to pick the best player in the roster, you might get 10 different 10 different answers. You'd get a ton of different answers. So
Okay.
Gonzaga is interesting to me because Gonzaga, they're not in the big conference or in a big conference, so maybe that's not a best one. But if we're looking maybe ACC, Big Ten, somewhere there, like I try to think of one who, it's just a name that's always there.
Yeah, I don't know, like Michigan.
Michigan,
I feel like they're better. I don't know.
they're
Yeah,
cons-
I like Gonzaga. It's just that they're not a major, but I think
yeah,
Gonzaga wins.
if
Yeah.
we just if
Like
we
if
look,
Gonzaga was in the Big 12 or something.
let's take conference out of it and just
Yeah.
imagine March Madness was the only thing that existed.
Yeah, I like Gonzaga.
Gonzaga. They're always there. They're always a high seed. But and I guess we're kind of picking and choosing our pieces of Gonzaga. But let's just imagine that Gonzaga has won 3 national titles, just to throw it in there.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Solid team, full, good coach, and no one, kind of the antithesis of France. No one's really going to play for themselves. It's going to be team over everything.
Okay. Any takes on Japan or Costa Rica?
None whatsoever.
All right, this team, Belgium. This is what I'm hyped about. I always pick Belgium because I basically knew their roster. I feel like I knew the whole roster the past 10 years. So
That's the thing.
They're all aging out. I remember during the Euro, that's all they talked about. They like what's that? Oh God, I forgot. One of their best players I remember was hurt. Maybe it was De Bruyne, and he like went to the king of Belgium. It was like, I'm playing for you, man, because it was like the last match they were ever going to play together. But I guess they're back. I don't know what's the
All
deal.
right. So to me, this is, and again, as I'm talking, you got to help me here because I'm really struggling. To me, this is the end of their golden generation. It's their last window to win a World Cup, I think. So Belgium is a team who had, at least my understanding, very little history up until maybe 2012
Oh,
or
I got it. It's over.
all right. I'll stop talking. Just give it to me.
2014 Wichita State.
Ah, perfect. That is unbelievable. That is, I mean, all right. That's the pick of the day. That is 100% the pick.
Because it's funny. The two teams I wanted to ask about were Houston. Who's Houston and who's Wichita
There
State?
you
So
go.
I feel like we got
There you
both.
Look, and it kind of and it rings. It look. This is
That's
like
so good.
this is when you check your work and like math, algebra. It's like you make sure it works, and it's like I'm checking my work by saying, all right, does the comp make sense? Yes, it does from a perspective of both sports. And does Dave like both of these teams? If I didn't
Yeah.
tell you otherwise, and if I told you to pick some of your favorite teams in college and in soccer, you would pick Belgium and you would pick Wichita State. So that's perfect.
Yeah, it's weird. I know this whole roster still.
Yeah.
So, I guess it was Hazard. Maybe was the one who went to the King. I guess
Yeah.
Eden isn't on the
Yeah.
roster this year.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think.
Oh no, he is. He is on the
Oh,
roster.
okay, he is. Yeah. So
Yeah, everyone I know is on the roster. So I don't know what they were
here's the
saying
thing.
last
If you
time.
look
I
at
guess
this
they're just
roster,
older.
yeah, they are. So if you look at this roster, Hazard barely plays anymore. Axel Witzel barely plays anymore, but was a name.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Kevin De Bruyne's still the best midfielder in the world. Romelu Lukaku was horrible at Chelsea, but usually plays very well for
He balls for Belgium. Yeah,
yes,
he
yeah.
was a beast
So
last World Cup.
I think Wichita State could not. I think that's the pick of the
Yeah.
episode.
Who is the other? Oh, Fellaini, right? He's
Fellaini,
long gone.
he's
But yeah.
gone, long gone. But no, to me, that's the pick of the episode. Because it's a team that had a window.
Wow, Witzel's 33. Holy smokes. That's crazy.
Never
That makes
take
me feel old.
And once your window's passed, it'll probably be passed forever because Belgium. You look. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm all in on this. I'm all in. Belgium and Uruguay futures. I'm all in.
if you look at it, yeah, like you do Wichita State, it's like they had their window, they had their Van Vliet and what's his name? I can't remember. Ron Baker. Is that his
Yeah,
name?
and Clay Anthony Early.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you look at those guys, and it's like those are the stars, and once they're gone, that was it. So I really think that's gonna be the case at Belgium because look at that roster. You remember these names from years past. It's like they don't have. There's a few guys. I think is Doku on this roster. Yeah, Doku's like decent. He had a pretty decent showing in the Euro, but like, and I guess a few other guys. Who do we have here? Like Tielemans is
Yeah,
decent
I know him.
guy. Openda decent, but
They got the Tottenham defenders back there still.
yeah. So
do you want to do 10 more? I have a couple questions about Belgium, if you can, but we got 2 minutes left in the episode. If you want to do,
if you want to send
Okay.
another invite, we can do.
Okay, yeah, we'll do 10 more minutes.
Yeah,
'cause
no,
I have
I
a
got.
question on Belgium, and
If
then we
my
have
voice weren't
Brazil.
about to go, I could do this for another like 4 hours. But
Yeah,
this
then we
is
have Brazil and Portugal left. So okay, we'll do one more episode. World Cup mega preview continues.